The year is 2015. Artists such as Bruno Mars, Fetty Wap, and Kendrick Lamar dominated the music scene. Fans of The Weeknd patiently waited for what The Weeknd had to offer that year. He's just come off his freshman album called Kissland, which caught a lot of individuals off guard. They did not expect that stylistic change. Nevertheless, individuals wanted to see what The Weeknd had in store. Some were afraid that The Weeknd may have sold out. Others sat on the edge of their seats, waiting for the twisted, dark, drug-infused lyrics of Abel to return. On August 28th of that year, the life and career of The Weeknd would never be the same. What's up, XO? This is a continuation of my series that I kind of started with the Dawn FM album called How Does It Hold Up? This video I will be talking about my favorite album by The Weeknd called Beauty Behind the Madness. I will be talking about the concept and ranking it from 1 being terrible to 10, either or. I'll also be talking about the character of this album, as well as the impact and the quality of music. And at the end of this video, I'm going to ask the question, how does it hold up in this current day and age? And then I will also answer that question. Now, with that being said, let's just jump right into it. Now, let's start with concept and character. Now, I'm going to combine both of these because I feel that the concept of this album as well as the character for this album both very heavily overlap with each other. Now, let's start with the name of this album, Beauty Behind the Madness. That very much encapsulates what this album is. The beauty in this album is his vocals. It's the sound of this album. It's the music. It's the songs. Songs so elegant and so appealing that they can easily sneak their way into a middle school dance. The madness to this album is the lyrics, the words, the content. So vulgar, so dark, so twisted that it could very much sneak its way, not sneak its way, run into a nightclub and stay there forever. It belongs in a nightclub. Now, there is no secret that with the making of this album, The Weeknd was striving for a more mainstream sound, a more pop sound. There is no secret that Abel did that. Even when you think about the individuals that he's teamed up to make this album with, such as Max Martin. The Weeknd really wanted to make a hit album, really wanted to make a mainstream album. Now, I know, in hindsight, how a lot of us fans are, and some feel is that, oh, he went too pop, oh, he went this, oh, he did that. But let's focus on the context of the times. The Weeknd, with the mixtape era, or as a lot of us like to just say, trilogy, he established himself as a new up-and-coming artist. He hopped on a lot of features with great artists like Wiz Khalifa and Drake, and so on and so forth. He made his way around the industry. Like I said, he established himself as that new up and coming artist. And when the time came to drop his freshman album, Kissland, it was very abysmal. The reception to it was not good. People felt that The Weeknd had underperformed, that he flopped. I know in hindsight, a lot of us look at that album and appreciate it. And it actually has a very huge cult following. But at that time, none of that was there. None of that was there at the time. I mean, maybe there was some. I ain't gonna lie. There was some. But at the time, a lot of people, in terms, if you want to be honest, a lot of people in that industry viewed that as a failure because they're like, this up and coming artist was doing his thing. And he's on a lot of features. And when it's time for his album to drop, it wasn't what we wanted. It wasn't what we expected. We wanted something more from it. We wanted something different. And The Weeknd found itself in a place that no artist wants to be in. Now, we all want to be the huge up and coming artist. We all want to be that huge megastar. But nobody wants to be in the place that The Weeknd was in. And that place was in limbo, mediocrity. He was in a place that, like I said, no artist would ever dream of being in. He had generated a lot of buzz, a lot of hype, but didn't follow through with it. And with this album, he really wanted to establish himself as a star in this game, in that industry. Now, this quote right here, I feel will really kind of elaborate or even cement what I just said right there. The Weeknd said, I think the worst thing anyone can say about an artist is he could have been great. I was always scared of being that guy where it's like he could have been big, he could have been a star. I was afraid I'd see somebody else up there and be like, you're telling me they're better than me? Why? Because they got a couple of records, a couple of smash records. I can do smashes. I could figure it out. Now that right there further cements what I just said. That's what The Weeknd was feeling at that time. He needed something that would put him on the map. He needed something that would put him in that position that he wants to be in. And ultimately, it's the position that he's in right now. Now, to do that, The Weeknd had to successfully establish his concept and character. Establish the persona that he wanted to be, that he wanted to do. And that character and concept that he wanted to do stems from his previous projects. Because The Weeknd wanted to remain true with himself. Now with the mixtape era, he took that drug-infused and drug-abusedness. He took that lost and temporary love that he had gained and also, like I said, lost. He took those vulgar lyrics and that nightlife from there. And with his freshman album, Kissland, he took also those vulgar lyrics from there. He took that persona that he established in Kissland as, I don't want love. I'm just moving around, I'm like a rolling stone. He took all that from those albums, those concepts. He took all that from those projects and crafted this character and his concept for this album of Beauty Behind the Madness. All those projects, like I said, laid the foundation for the perfect anti-hero. The character in this album to, has already come to terms with the fact that he's not built for love. He's come to terms that he's not built for love and that he cannot have a true monogamous relationship. And he's come to terms with this fact in the first song on the album. Now, the last song of this album is Abel telling this individual that caught feelings for him, this pure-hearted, loving individual that really likes him, really wants a future with him, with Abel telling this individual, I hope you find somebody to love. It's actually a ballad, a love ballad, or an anti-love ballad of him telling that individual that he's never gonna be good for you. And that you should, matter of fact, not that you should look for somebody, that I hope you find somebody to love. Because I'm not that guy. Now, rather than a conventional story where an individual like The Weeknd would start out not loving and work his way through the album, work his way through a storyline, and then end up loving somebody, or him being heartbroken and working his way through a storyline and figuring out that he's not good in relationships, The Weeknd decided, you know what, I'm gonna take these individuals that I mess around with, or even this individual that I messed around with, I'm gonna let her progress to the storyline and figure out that you can't change who I am. I am who I am, and that is Heartless. And also, kind of on a philosophical level, The Weeknd takes us fans, the new fans that jumped on the bandwagon, as well as some of the older fans that came on from the beginning. He's telling us all that, hey, listen, no matter how amazing these songs sound, how mainstream, how pop, how whatever they sound, I'm always going to keep that core element of me on this album or in this music. I can make a freaking hit song like anybody else, but I'm always going to keep that core element of me, the element that I started with. I'm always going to keep that with me. I am a cold-hearted individual. That's what The Weeknd is saying. That's what Abel is saying throughout this album. That's kind of his message to everyone. You know, that's very unconventional. That's kind of what his concept and character is. But that's what he's telling us all. That's the concept and that's the character of this album. Just like I said with the songs like Tell Your Friends, you know. He's saying, hey, I'm always going to remain myself. I'm going to be me. Just because there's a couple of snares in the background or an 80s sounding beat, that's not going to change who I am. I'm the same person with the hair doing my thing. Now, concept and character are 10 out of freaking 10. No doubt about it. I'm going to go to impact. If we're talking about accolades and awards and all that, we can go on all day. That could be a whole entire video of how many accolades and awards and stuff and impact and all that stuff with this album. But I'm just sum up the accolades and awards by saying this. This album is multiple times platinum, and 2 songs on this album are diamond. The Weeknd's one of the only artists to even have multiple diamond album or songs. He has 4, by the way. But 2 songs in this album is diamond. That sums up that. But along with those accolades and chart success and all that crap that we can just talk about, The Weeknd, this album, the impact of this album is probably the reason why all of us are fans of The Weeknd. The impact of this album is that The Weeknd had managed to not be an irrelevant artist, to not be a one and done artist. He's managed to be a mainstay. He's shown that he can both make the content that he wants to make as well as make music that appeals to the masses. That's what Abel has shown. That's the impact of this album. And that has led to the success, and that has led to even the trial of every album that came afterwards. The Weeknd felt that he needed to just hit on this one album, and this will jumpstart everything. And likewise, this is an album that made a lot of people fans of him. This is the album that put him on the radar for a lot of individuals. I myself became a fan after this album right here. The impact of this album is, rather than a 10 out of 10, it's like a 20 out of 10 or even a 100 out of 10. This album is amazing. Let's go to quality of music. Quality music can be summed up with one word, and that's range. It was ability to dabble in pop with Can't Feel My Face and In the Night, as well as dabble in alternative R&B with songs like Often and The Hills, as well as sang a freaking ballad with Angel. There is no question that The Weeknd's range on this album is freaking crazy. He really hits us with that traditional R&B sound, as well as pop sound, as well as techno sound. He hits us with everything in a book, and it all seamlessly goes together. Not to mention his features on this album. His features are unfeathered, unbothered. His features on this album are freaking amazing. And actually are second to none. I don't think he has any other album with features that touches the features on this album. They all seamlessly go together. The quality of music on this album is amazing too. Now for me, that's a 100 out of 10 again. Now, does this album hold up? Come on. Is that even a question? This album is the thing that pretty much jump-started The Weeknd and who we know today. This album is the battery that drove The Weeknd to who he is today. A lot of us probably don't even really know who this guy is before this album, or even after this album. Without Beauty Behind the Madness, where is The Weeknd? Let's be honest. This album is amazing, and it's my favorite album by The Weeknd, and arguably it's his best album to this date. You can hear the hunger in his voice. You can hear that he really wanted to make a perfect album. You can really see that he strived to make perfection. There's a quote where he says that he has 67 different versions of his song that he's made called The Hills. He was really, really striving for perfection. And that's what we got. We got an amazing, perfect album called Beauty